Zarathustra's long absence had left Oas weakened. The cities he had liberated no longer paid tribute to Oas, and the steady flow of wealth and taxes ceased, leading to economic hardship for the kingdom. Enraged by this loss of power and influence, the king of Oas swore an oath to capture Zarathustra and stop his movement. He equipped multiple armies to search for the prophet, yet despite many reports of his location, Zarathustra remained elusive, protected by divine intervention. Whenever the king's soldiers approached, they found themselves misled, unable to capture him. At last, Zarathustra returned to Persia, reuniting with his followers in the Forest of Goats, where he had first received the Creator's message. There, he shared the wisdom he had gained on his journeys and celebrated with those who had supported him since his youth, including his mother. For days they rejoiced. But Zarathustra soon announced his intention to confront the king of Oas and fulfill the Creator's command. When Zarathustra arrived at the gates of Oas, he was immediately recognized by the guards. His past banishment from the city, however, made it impossible for him to enter. A reward was offered for his capture, and a gatekeeper named Judas, from which is derived the name Judas, recognized Zarathustra and sought to claim it by deceiving him. Judas pretended to help Zarathustra, offering to let him enter after the guard shift changed, but instead he betrayed him by alerting the soldiers. Surrounded by 1,000 soldiers, Zarathustra was captured and brought before the king. The king, eager to make an example of him, listed 8 accusations against Zarathustra, each of which carried a sentence of death. Among the charges were evading capture, preaching in foreign lands, and inciting the people to withhold tribute to the Sun King. Most grievously, Zarathustra had taught the existence of a creator greater than the Sun King, an idea the king considered irrational and dangerous. With great satisfaction, the king sentenced Zarathustra to die by the most ignoble means. He would be hanged by his feet in the den of thieves, left to die a slow and painful death. Zarathustra responded calmly, predicting the fall of the king's reign. "Though today your kingdom seems vast," he said, "in 2 days I will be dead, you will be dead, and this city will be destroyed. The temple of the sun shall fall to rubble." The king laughed at the prophecy, dismissing Zarathustra as a madman, and sent him to the den of thieves, a pit surrounded by dens of lions that fed on the condemned. A bridge led over the den, but once prisoners were inside, it was withdrawn, sealing their fate. Zarathustra was left in the darkness, awaiting the dawn. That night the king grew restless. Despite his arrogance, he could not shake the feeling that Zarathustra possessed a mysterious power. Desiring to know the secret of his strength, the king sent a messenger to offer Zarathustra a deal. If he would reveal the source of his power and acknowledge the king as supreme, he would be spared and given dominion over 5 cities. Zarathustra refused, declaring that he held no secrets and had no interest in ruling cities. He warned the messenger that both their fates were sealed, he would die the next day, and the king would soon follow. Zarathustra foretold the destruction of the Temple of the Stars, the fall of the city of Oas, and the rise of a new ruler who would establish a dynasty lasting thousands of years. Enraged by this reply, the king struck down the messenger and threw his body to the lions. Before the body was cast into the den, Zarathustra called out, asking the guards to lay the man by the wall instead. One of the guards obeyed, and Zarathustra, speaking words of life, revived the messenger. Stunned by the miracle, the guards and onlookers were filled with fear. The messenger, alive and unharmed, fled the city. That night, Zarathustra performed more miracles from within the den, healing the sick and blessing the people who had come to see him. Many were convinced of his divine mission, but the king remained stubborn in his pride. The next day, Zarathustra, along with 2 thieves, was brought to the gallows to be executed. As the sun rose, a crowd gathered to witness the event. The executioner bound Zarathustra and prepared to hang him by his feet, as per the king's orders. However, as Zarathustra was raised into the air, a storm gathered overhead, dark clouds covering the sun. In a flash of lightning, the gallows and the Temple of the Sun were struck, causing the temple to collapse in flames. The city trembled and the very foundations of Oas crumbled, just as Zarathustra had foretold. Many of the onlookers fell to their knees, realizing that the prophet's words had come true. Zarathustra's body was cast into the lion's den, but the lions did not touch him. Instead, they lay beside him as if they recognized his holiness. After 3 days, his body was removed, but many testified that they had seen Zarathustra's spirit walking among them, speaking of the Creator's love and power. His spirit instructed his followers to teach others about forgiveness, love, and the promise of eternal life for those who followed the light. Zarathustra's spirit returned to his followers, and for 3 days he walked among them, speaking of the life that awaited them in the higher realms. He revealed the mysteries of the soul and the afterlife, urging his followers to focus on the light of heaven rather than the fleeting pleasures of the material world. Zarathustra warned them of lower spirits who would seek to lead them astray, encouraging them to remain steadfast in their faith and practice the Creator's law. He also spoke of love, explaining that true love was the essence of the Creator, and it was through love that the world would be transformed. Zarathustra told his followers to forgive their enemies and to live in peace with one another, even in the face of persecution. "Let the sword be turned away," he said, "for the hand that strikes with violence has not yet understood the Creator's plan." Before departing, Zarathustra promised that he would prepare a place for them in the higher realms, where they would be reunited in the Creator's eternal light. He instructed them to remain true to his teachings and to spread the message of the Creator's love and righteousness to all nations. With this final blessing, Zarathustra ascended into the heavens with an angelic host, leaving behind his followers to continue his work. Zarathustra's teaching spread far and wide, and the Creator's law was established in many lands, guiding countless souls for generations to come.